Sulfonylureas. They are oral anti-diabetic drugs that lower blood glucose by stimulating insulin secretion from pancreatic beta cells. Examples include Glimepiride, Glipizide, Glyburide, and Gliclazide. Mechanism of action. Sulfonylureas bind to sulfonylurea receptors SUR1 on pancreatic beta cells, closing ATP-sensitive potassium channels. Step by step, how they work. Now let's go through the mechanism of action step by step and understand how these drugs stimulate insulin release. The first event is that the potassium channels close. Specifically, sulfonylureas bind to the sulfonylurea receptor on ATP-sensitive potassium channels in pancreatic beta cells, causing these potassium channels to close. Once the potassium channels close, potassium can no longer leave the cell. This leads to membrane depolarization, which triggers the next step. The calcium channels open. As the calcium channels open, calcium enters the beta cell. This rise in intracellular calcium acts as the key signal for insulin secretion. Finally, insulin is released from the pancreatic beta cells into the bloodstream. The released insulin promotes glucose uptake by tissues and lowers blood glucose levels. Adverse effects. Starting with the common adverse effects, the most important is hypoglycemia. Because sulfonylureas stimulate insulin release regardless of blood glucose levels, they can cause significant hypoglycemia, especially in elderly patients, those with irregular meals, or patients with renal impairment. Another common adverse effect is weight gain. Increased insulin levels promote glucose storage and fat deposition, leading to gradual weight gain during long-term therapy. Moving to other adverse effects, some patients experience gastrointestinal upset, including nausea or abdominal discomfort. Skin rash or allergic reactions may occur due to hypersensitivity. Rarely, hematological reactions such as leukopenia can develop. Clinical uses. They are effective only in patients who still have functional pancreatic beta cells because their action depends on stimulating insulin secretion. When are they used? The most important indication is type 2 diabetes. These drugs are used when diet and exercise alone are insufficient to achieve adequate glycemic control. By stimulating insulin release from functioning pancreatic beta cells, they help reduce blood glucose levels effectively. They may be used alone when metformin is not tolerated. Some patients cannot take metformin because of contraindications or adverse effects. In such cases, sulfonylureas may be used as monotherapy to improve glycemic control. Sulfonylureas are frequently used in combination therapy. They are often combined with metformin, DPP-4 inhibitors, SGLT2 inhibitors, or insulin when a single drug is unable to achieve target blood glucose levels. Combination partners. The most common combination partner is metformin. This combination is widely used because metformin reduces hepatic glucose production and improves insulin sensitivity, while sulfonylureas increase insulin secretion. Together, they provide complementary glucose-lowering effects. Another useful combination is with DPP-4 inhibitors. These drugs work through the incretin pathway, enhancing glucose-dependent insulin release and helping improve glycemic control with a complementary mechanism. Sulfonylureas may also be combined with SGLT2 inhibitors. In this combination, increased renal glucose excretion produced by SGLT2 inhibitors is paired with beta cell stimulation from sulfonylureas, resulting in additional blood glucose reduction. Finally, sulfonylureas can be used with insulin in patients requiring more intensive glycemic control. However, because both therapies can lower glucose significantly, careful monitoring for hypoglycemia is essential. Key limitations. Sulfonylureas work by stimulating insulin release from functional pancreatic beta cells. Therefore, sulfonylureas are ineffective in patients who lack functional pancreatic beta cells. In such individuals, they cannot increase insulin secretion because no meaningful beta cell function remains. This explains why sulfonylureas are unsuitable for type 1 diabetes mellitus, where autoimmune destruction of beta cells results in absolute insulin deficiency. They are also less effective in late-stage type 2 diabetes when significant beta cell exhaustion has occurred. Summary. Let us conclude with a quick summary of sulfonylureas. First, remember the class. Sulfonylureas are oral anti-diabetic drugs that act as insulin secretagogues, meaning they lower blood glucose by stimulating insulin release from pancreatic beta cells. Next, recall the mechanism. These drugs close potassium channels, causing membrane depolarization. This opens calcium channels, leading to calcium influx and ultimately insulin release. The most important key risk is hypoglycemia, which is the hallmark adverse effect of this class. Weight gain is another common concern due to increased insulin activity. Regarding use, sulfonylureas are indicated in type 2 diabetes mellitus with functional beta cells. They may be used as monotherapy or as part of combination therapy with other anti-diabetic agents.